Freaky Friday is intended for adults and is a show featuring adult conversations. Topics may vary, but are focused on human sexuality, fetish, and topics of intimate nature. Some may feel uncomfortable watching this show, and some topics may take you out of your comfort zone. We encourage everyone to stay and learn, as we hope this is an educational show, but stress that viewer discretion is advised. And if a topic makes you feel uncomfortable, please do not continue watching. Welcome to Freaky Friday. Welcome to Freaky Friday, where we dare to talk about taboo topics like fetish, bondage, sex, vibrators, and more. This isn't your dad's Friday night programming, but your mom loves it. Welcome to Freaky Friday, hosted by Mr. Anderson, who is the unboxable, uncanny advocating creator known as the Indie Comics Devil, who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish, monsters, and more. Also the giver of free hugs and spends. Everyone watching this program will get virtual free hugs and spends. It's time to get on with the show. Welcome to Freaky Friday. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. Produced by Silent Partner. Song name, Tied Up. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, let's get to it. It is the end of the month. August is coming to an end. A warning, this is adult content. It's kinky headlines. Freaky Friday talks about all the BDSM headlines that have happened over the month of August. So let's get into it. Hello, everybody. I hope you've had a great summer. We still got one more show of the summer, so we won't say goodbye to summer just yet, but we will talk about the headlines, which you can find by going to Comics Unleashed. That's right, at Comics Unleashed on Twitter. We're putting these all out there. Let's get to the news. We talked about this earlier in the summer, as we've made this the summer of fetish. So this is Freaky Fetish Friday. So this is all about the fetish. And this will, by the way, continue. At last Friday of every month, we will have BDSM and fetish news. So this is not going away. So here you go. Let's keep you in the know about everything going on in the kink sphere and the fetish realm. All right. So Victorian man acquitted in bondage trial. So it was a he said, she said, and the judge found that there was enough to warrant the fact that there was not a clear non-consensual act here. And I cannot stress this enough. I'm not taking sides on this. This is a nightmare situation for everyone. The BDSM server that I have, if he had her fill it out, would not have given him permission to do just anything he wanted. But it would have been a clearer path maybe to the things that had gone on. This could have been look, I'm not going to tell anyone how they feel or anything like that. The courts took care of it. But doing things like BDSM surveys and very deep conversations can eliminate not just misunderstandings, but can also educate a person on how they might feel afterwards. So just something to think about. I'm not taking a side on this, so we're going to move on. So I don't know how to feel about this. The hottest stick in New York City dinner with a side of kinky bondage. So they're basically making bondage a show. And don't get me wrong, I think bondage is beautiful. I've actually debated becoming a photographer of BDSM. So all those of you watching who, wanna model for me, send me an email. No, I'm kidding. No, not really. I would take pictures of BDSM for a possible future book. But so I do think the art in it is beautiful. I think there's something amazing. By the way, that offers for men and females, just so you know. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide on this. I'm kind of happy seeing the rich people enjoying it, because the hottest ticket is also the most expensive ticket. But I also don't want it to become something of a show, something that people point and laugh at. So it concerns me a little. I want to know what you guys think. That's what the comments are for. Let me know. So we've talked about this in the summer. Is BDSM really anti-feminist? Now, at the beginning of the summer, we had talked about an article that said that BDSM was inherently against feminism and was made to abuse women, and I was very upset about it. So this is an article brought to us. By the way, just giving out some love up here. Times Colonist gave us the Victorian man acquitted story, and New York Post gave us the hottest ticket in New York City dinner. I want to give credit where credit's due. And this is BDSM really anti-feminist? This is for the SheThePeople.tv. I think it's an interesting article. I do not believe BDSM is against any one gender or any one. It's not bias by it being what it is. There's no bias in it. The bias comes from the human beings that partake in it. Maybe, sure, that could happen, but it's not inherently biased towards anyone. And in fact, I would argue that it's one of the most inclusive things I've ever seen in my life, especially its community. So this was not a very judgmental thing. I just want to read this right here. Here we go. The feminism is about empowerment, not judgment. It goes on to say, but BDSM is also about choice. Submissive women have the right to feel pleasure on their own terms. And I think that beautifully summed up what we started at the beginning of the summer. So this kind of was cool to have it on the show right now. And guys, by the way, Twitter's great for BDSM. Like, there are a lot of great people on here for BDSM. TikTok, I'm finding some great people as well. To the point of, I'm even going to ask you guys before we go to our next article, would you guys like to see this show put in short little bursts on TikTok, maybe conversations about certain news articles where I can address it? If you want to see Comics Unleashed, go to TikTok. Let me know in the comments section. Thank you, by the way, for all the emails and shout outs and instant messengers. And of course, you don't have to publicly talk about this. I want to make that clear. If you feel more comfortable privately sending me an email, comicsnewswire@yahoo.com, you can send it to fetishbabies@yahoo.com. You can also send me an email. You can find me at I am Mr. Anderson on Twitter and Mr. Anderson on all social medias, including my emails, which you can find at Mr. Mister Anderson ANDERSIN.com. You can find a way to contact me. You can privately do so if you want a topic covered. Some of you have been reaching out to me all summer, and I really do appreciate that. Continue it. I even got to see the BDSM survey shown on TikTok by someone who'd gotten it at a show. Really exciting moment. And I came across it in my feed. I was like, I know that book. That's my book. So I was pretty excited about that. So I want you guys to be part of this and helping us make the decision for the future of this show. This was an article I thought was interesting. When does BDSM cross the line into abuse and slavery? And the quote from the article that I liked was, a wide range of other criminal offenses could be applied to BDSM activities that are abusive. Here's why I liked it, because it's a great conversational point, because what is abusive? What the definition of abusive can be different, how quickly something can be made into something that wasn't, even if the participants are okay with being part of it. That we had an article this summer where someone was in Canada, I believe, again, was having problems because he had BDSM relationships. He was in a polyamory relationship, and one of the women had said something to a coworker, and this had prompted him being arrested when no one involved in it had a problem with anything that's going on. Yeah, that happens. Hashtag not cool. So you do have to be worried about laws. In America, it's a little easier for us because we do have the innocent before proven guilty. You don't have that necessarily in other quadrants of the world or other countries in the world. So be mindful. BDSM can get you in trouble. Still to this date, there's a lot of bias going around. All right, so here we go. And that was brought to us by theconversation.com. Elite Daily gives us a sex expert reveals how 50 Shades of Grey gets it all wrong. And I could not agree more. 50 Shades of Grey was like an SVU episode, Law and Order SVU, about a billionaire abusing a chick. They just never had Stabler and what's her name? Oh wow, I'm blanking right now. Stabler, because I love Stabler, but his partner Benson, Stabler and Benson never came to get the prick. So here we go. Myth number one: BDSM is all about pain. Not true. Bondage. I could tie up a girl and never hurt her, just touch her body, and I'd be in heaven. Let me tell you. And I've had girlfriends who did not want to be, or play partners who did not want to be hurt in any way, but they loved being touched and played with when tied up and struggled. I love watching the struggle. Myth two: the dominant partner is always in control. This is not true at all, as a matter of fact. It's negotiation, it's trust, and usually the submissive has more power than the dominant. Myth number 3, BDSM is nothing more than rough sex or assault. I'm not even going to address that. That's so stupid. We're just going to move on because that angers me to even read out loud. But it was an interesting article. They go over all 3 of these myths. I definitely think you should read it. Again, brought to us by Elite Daily. That you can find all this, again, on Comics Unleashed on Twitter. It's going to be there. It's going to be in our feed. Kinky sex is breaking your sexual routines. It's not conventional. Ooh. So what was this about? Sex expert explains the difference between BDSM and kinky sex after practice. This is a Daily Star article, and here's what she said. You can be kinky. A lot of people are very kinky nowadays. It's very fashionable right now. She goes on to say kinky sex is breaking with your sexual routines. It's not conventional. So she's basically going on to talk about how kinky sex is different than fetish, because fetishes and BDSM are a lot more contained, a lot more structured, while just being kinky is really just like, vanilla people adding toppings to themselves. Well, us fetish people, we might have a vanilla base, but we actually don't put toppings. The actual ingredients are inside of us. Like I'm fudge swirl with cookie dough ice cream mixed in with a little bit of rope, a little bit of spanky, and a little bit of spark actually. And the actual sprinkles are inside. The Bosco is inside of it. It's not a topping. That's a metaphor. Whether it worked or not, that'll be up to you. Here we go. This is George Soros's right-hand man accused of BDSM crimes. It's really bad what they're saying about this. This doesn't look like, and I'm not a judge, but I'm just saying from what I'm going to read right now, and then you make your own judgments. This is, by the way, in Daily Mail, and it's all across the internet, by the way. Now, several women who took part in kinky sessions are suing the financer, claiming he abused them, ignoring safe words. You never ignore safe words. Going beyond the BDSM boundaries and agreements they set before sex and physically hurting them. If this is true, this is a moment which could be very important for the BDSM community, is this will be the first time someone's held accountable for breaking those types of things. And if he's guilty, I think he should be held to the highest punishments allowed under these crimes, because I think it is a really bad thing to do this. And if he's not guilty, I hope he gets acquitted. But in the end of the day, this is a great conversation to have about boundaries and safe words and not being able to use BDSM as an excuse to do anything you want to a person. So here's the, I'm a wrestling fan. If you don't know, I don't talk about much on this program, but I am a wrestling fan. That's Karrion Kross. Now, Karrion Kross came out with this mask on, and everyone is mocking him. But here's the thing. The girl he's been with for so long has worn slave collars to the rings, dresses like a BDSM participant, let's put it that way. She definitely looks like she's into the culture and the at least knows about the lifestyle because of the way she dresses and acts. So she's at least studied it. But I felt bad for him because he's actually a very good wrestler. He's got good intensity, and the fact that this outfit was made fun of so much. See, I didn't see BDSM when I first saw it. I thought like 80s metal, but other people saw BDSM. Just goes to show you, when you grew up changes everything, because there wasn't a lot of BDSM when I grew up, and I'm in the community. I've never seen anyone in the community look like that. Not saying it doesn't happen, but that would be medieval night in my mind. All right, so here we go. This was an interesting article from Women's Health. It's all about being a beginner, and if you're watching the show and want to know how to become a beginner, here we go. Women's Health is covering it, so I thought that was kind of cool. Bonding Star talks about BDSM and the vibrant, complex dynamic. It was a great article. I really liked him as an actor. He had talked about how the second season they brought in experts for BDSM, and you felt it in the second season. And he talked about how the first season was really more of an indie project. It wasn't really meant to be as close to factual as people wanted it to be. And he didn't go as far as apologizing, but he made it clear the first and second season were very different creatures and animals, if you will have it. Great article. Definitely read it. Brought to us by HollywoodReporter.com. And by the way, the Karrion Kross was brought to us by Metro.co.com. Here's an interesting here's an interesting article. It's a survey that reveals 63% of BDSM enthusiasts or bondage freaks or BDSM freak flag flyers have cheated in a committed relationship with a BDSM partner. In other words, they're cheating on their committed relationships with someone who's into BDSM, established. They go to actual paid mistresses because they can't get what they want, or more importantly, are afraid to ask for something like that in the bedroom. It means you want an open relationship and you're not asking for it. Cheating is not something you should do. something you should consider. I know a lot of people in BDSM get tired of being alone and trying to find the perfect person for them to be into BDSM with, so they get with someone that's not their ideal fit. But there's nothing wrong with going into a poly relationship. We talked about that last week, or an open relationship, and being honest with your partner about your needs and wanting to be with them, and knowing they can't necessarily fulfill all the needs out of choice. So you want to do something else. Another InStyle.com beginner's guide to BDSM article for you guys. And researchers, flow is an enjoyable and pleasurable state that people get into when they are performing an activity that requires a high level of skill, in a state in which the rest of the world fades away, concentrating very intensely on only the things they do. So yourtango.com is claiming that BDSM can actually cure anxiety, says science, and I agree. I've seen it. I've seen people go into trances. There's subspace. I actually think it's an interesting article you guys should read. So it's here. And as host of group sex parties, hear how I explain sexual consent. An independent .co article I think you guys should read. It's about consent. Consent's always something good. And these are just some things I retweeted, some funny things. I know this creator. I've met him, Stefan Sajek. He does Sunstone, and he made some interesting things about the pandemic that I thought were interesting and funny. Check it out, and he has a new book out, so definitely check that out. So we're over our 15 minutes, so it means it's time to say goodbye. We will see you next week for Labor Day, and we'll have an interesting topic as we end the summer. So Freaky Fetish Friday summer event ends. We only missed one weekend, and that was for MegaCon. I just couldn't get a signal, and I was kind of tired. My voice was trying to talk through masks is not easy. I wouldn't know. I'm not submissive. It's the first experience I'm having with it. I never wore a mask as a dominant. So that's it. Go out there, be freaky, be consensual, be safe, sane, and enjoy yourselves, and enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll see you next week as we wrap up the fetish summer we've had. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. And here's who I am and how you can find me. Mr. Anderson is the unboxable, advocating creator known as the indie comics devil, who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish, monsters, and more. He is the giver of free hugs and spanks, and he is a partner in Continual Comics. Check out everything Anderson at chainlinks.site.